So in the previous session, we have seen about what vision, mission, objectives are and how they characterize phase one of the strategic management. So before we discuss something, I would like to quickly discuss as to what exactly the story is in terms of our phases that are involved in strategic management. Only then we will be able to proceed further. So we will discuss that and then we will proceed further in a more detailed manner. Phase 1 is about setting up vision, mission, objectives. Phase 2 is about doing a strategic analysis. Now, though in the definition you didn't see much about analysis, in the class where we discussed about the strategic management model, this was very evident. So where we are talking about strategic management model and we have discussed about the phase 2. So now we will go there and also have a quick understanding as to what are the 5 phases that are involved in strategic management. Phase 1, vision, mission, objectives and goals. So this is what we have already discussed in chapter number 3. So no much of a difference. So developing vision, mission, objectives. But when it comes to talking about what we are actually going to do in phase 2, now phase 2 is a very important phase, because only what we do in phase 2 will come with us for a long time, because we need to understand what are our opportunities, threats, in line with our strengths and weaknesses and all that. So though I will detail this one out, for now I am just giving you an overview as to we do three analysis, of which we are going to start the first one today: competitors and industry, or industry and competitive analysis. That is, who is around us. We are not alone, right, in this race. So who is around us? Industry and competitive analysis. Then 2 is what is called as a portfolio analysis, a very very important analysis, portfolio analysis. And then towards the end we have SWOT and TOS analysis. Right now I don't want to discuss much on phase 3, phase 4 and phase 5, but in every class I will keep reminding that these phases also exist, which is about crafting a strategy, implementing and executing that strategy, or evaluating that strategy, and taking corrective action called as control. Now evaluating and control can go hand in hand, or implement and evaluate can go hand in hand, depending upon how the organization wants to do it. So this is the fundamental behind what we are actually going to discuss in the second chapter. So second chapter, you can very clearly remember that there are three parts to this chapter. Okay, as you straight away see there, the three parts are pretty much evident. We will now go ahead and discuss with what exactly is the content of this chapter, and let's start with discussing what is called as a competitive strategy. So chapter number 2 on competitive strategy. A firm must identify its position. Sir, I am alone. No, definitely not. We are in a battle here. We are fighting it out with people. So, a firm must identify its position relative to competitors. Relative to competitors means in comparison to your competitors, where do you stand? A firm must identify its position relative to its competitors in the market. The objective of a competitive strategy is to generate a competitive advantage. How will we generate competitive advantage? We are going to see through that through a separate topic, and then we will understand the ways of generating the competitive advantage. But not only that, to generate a competitive advantage, increase your market share. Like if right now I'm able to cater to 20% of the customers in the market, make it 25, make it 30, like how Geo came in and started to capture customers slowly, slowly, and then now they are serving more than 40 or 50% of the market. So how will you come in and increase your market share and beat competition? A competitive strategy consists anything that you do or all moves that you do to one, attract customers, because that's the most toughest task here. Attracting customers not an easy task. Why? For a very simple reason, that if you want to attract customers, they should know exactly as to what you are dealing with. For that, you should know what the customer wants. I am not saying it is impossible, I am just saying it is a task that we have to do. Throughout our syllabus, many places it is highlighted as to what the customer needs. If you are able to clearly follow the pattern to understand what they want, maybe at some point of time we will be able to clearly understand as to what they need, and then we will also cater and deliver towards that. Two is withstand the competitive pressure. Obviously, you are not running this race alone, so you have competitors, and as I told you, when competitors are present, we can't act weird. We have to act in such a way that we also know who we are, we also know who they are. Now, sir, is it so easy to do it? I'm not saying that it is very easy to do it, but yes, there is a lot of analysis that goes in, and we will be doing that analysis now, so nothing to worry. And last one is to strengthen the market position. If you already feel that you are very good about doing the business, whatever you are doing, you are very good in it, then if you think that you are really good in it, then you should find out what good you are doing to not only yourself but also to the market, so that you can strengthen your market position. I told you in the past also, gaining a competitive advantage once is not enough. There is a term that is going to be introduced called a sustainable competitive advantage. That means having that competitive advantage in the long run. See, once you are achieving that, it's a great thing. Okay, but how far will you be able to hold it? A lot of movie actors, cricketers, you see what happens with them. Actor, actresses, movie business, or in the sports, they'll come and they'll act in one movie, and that movie becomes a big hit, and then we will all be thinking that this actor is having great future. Actor or actress will have a great future, it's amazing, and then you will not hear of them, because they were able to come in, capture, generate some advantage for them, and that's it, vanish. So is the case with sports stars. Like somebody comes into cricket, plays a game, makes a name for themselves, maybe even score a century, come in the headlines, in the everything will happen amazing, and after that nobody will even know what happened to them. There are lots of players like that, and which is one of the reasons why the ones who are able to hold on are called legends, and the ones who are able to play the game for so long are respected. Right? The reason is very simple. Gaining a competitive advantage over others, no doubt, is a big challenge. But after gaining, holding that for a long time is another big challenge. Having a competitive advantage is necessary for a firm to compete in the market. Competitive advantage comes from the firm's ability to perform activities more effectively than its rivals. But what is more important is whether the competitive advantage is sustainable. Are you able to hold it in the long run? This particular point always reminds me of one of the very famous quotes by Dr. Abdul Kalam. And he puts forth it very beautifully, saying that don't relax after your first victory, because if you don't win the second time, people call it the first victory as an accident. Okay, sir, by luck they would have won first time. You put all your hard work in your life to win it for the first time, but when you don't win it the second time, people will say, fluke, sir, first time by mistake they won. So nobody recognizes your first time effort when you are not able to sustain or hold it. Competitive advantage is a similar way. If you gain competitive advantage, come there, make a name for yourself, and then vanish. It's not going to help anybody. Okay, so what is more important is whether the competitive advantage is sustainable. So, how will I know this? And one more very important thing is, nobody told you, or there is no hard and fast rule that you have to always be a leader in the market. You should not be a follower in the market. Nobody told you that. You be a leader, you be a follower, you be anybody in the market, but do justice to whatever you are supposed to do. Check this out. But what is more important is whether the competitive advantage is sustainable. By knowing if it is a leader, challenger, or a follower, the firm can adopt an appropriate competitive strategy. If you are a leader, then you set the trend for everybody, then your strategies will be different. If you are a follower, then you have to wait for what's happening in the market and then follow the trend. If you are a challenger, that means somebody set a trend, you got to go against that. None of that is easy. None of that can be done just like that. A follower only, no sir, whatever they do, we'll also do. It's not easy. A leading, no sir, what we do, others will follow. So whatever I do is okay. No, whatever you do is not okay. There's a particular way how you should do it. challenging everything and anything is not possible always. So though you choose any role, leader, challenger or follower, you will have to make your own strategy and in line with competition. On one side you are facing competition, on the other side it's not going to be so easy then. Okay, fine sir, so many people are there in the market, then what should I do? What should you do? There is a simple aspect. You don't have to really put pressure on yourself. What you need to do is very clear. Understand who are around you. Understand who are around you. That is only called as competitive landscape. What is it called? A competitive landscape, which is nothing but a surrounding as to who are with me and what are the people that they are actually dealing with. This we should understand clearly. Okay, so we will now go to that part of understanding our competitive landscape. Now, normally right, landscape is the entire surrounding around us. So let's see, in the context of competition, how do we understand? Five simple steps. Competitive landscape is about identifying and understanding. So I want you to underline both the words. Mark both those words, identifying and understanding. It's not like simply you identified something. Competitive landscape is about identifying and understanding the competitors, and at the same time it permits the comprehension of, that is conversion of, their vision, mission, core values, niche market. For now you can say niche market means a target market. Okay, niche market is nothing but a target market. For now you can just write it down there like that. We will discuss about niche later in clear detail. So niche market is what called as target market. Please write it down there. Niche market is a target market. So out of the entire market, who is your target? Who are you focusing on is something that we need to take into consideration. Done. Moving on. Competitive landscape is about identifying and understanding competitors, which permit the comprehension of vision, mission, core values, niche market, strength and weaknesses. Little later in this chapter, we will do that. Strength and weakness analysis. Sir, are you telling strength and weaknesses of us? Or are you asking us to understand the strength and weakness of competitors also? Yes, strength and weakness of competitors also. Sir, are you joking? How is that possible? How will I know what are their strengths and weaknesses? Some people are like, sir, I don't know what are my strengths and weaknesses only. You are asking me to identify what are competitors' strengths and weaknesses. No, it's not that difficult. There are particular ways. Let's follow that. An in-depth, okay, before going there, understanding the competitive landscape requires application of competitive intelligence. Not your own intelligence. In a competitive market, how you can survive, that is called a competitive intelligence. An in-depth investigation and analysis of the firm's competition allows it to assess the competitor's strength and weaknesses. So not yours. Your strength and weakness anyway we will analyze. Nothing to worry about that. An in-depth investigation and analysis of what? The firm's competition allows it to access the competitors' strength and weaknesses in the marketplace and helps it to choose and implement effective strategies that will improve its competitive advantage. Help and improve its competitive advantage. For that, sir, where should I start with? Simple. Take a white paper, list down all your competitors. Point number one. What do they do? See, everybody who is your competitor, as per the definition, need not be a real competitor in the market. Sir, I didn't understand. Can you explain? Of course, that is why I am here. Now, I'll tell you, I started something to deal with petroleum and petrochemical products. Petroleum and petrochemical products. Immediately, can I call Reliance as my competition? Yes, sir, Reliance is my competition because they are also dealing with petrol. No doubt, what you said is not wrong. Reliance can turn out to be your competition, but not today. The scale at which they operate and the scale at which you are operating now don't make you competitors in the immediate scale. No, sir, as per definition, all of us who are in the same industry competing for the same set of buyers, We are all competitors only. So what you will do from next day? You will make strategies to outperform Reliance. Huh? Will that make any sense? First, you should see who are in your range. Capture that. We will no doubt grow and go and capture Reliance one day. I'm not saying no, but there should be a pathway for that. Suddenly, one fine day, you decided that you will step in. I started a software company. Infosys and TCS are my competition, sir. Now you see what I will do. Patience. Infosys and TCS are no doubt IT companies, but today they are not your competition. Look at their scale. And what are you doing? Now only I got a new project, sir. Now you got one new project. That doesn't make you as big as them. No, sir, but we are all in the software industry. So just your presence in one industry necessarily need not mean that you compete with everybody. Yeah, as per the book definition, no doubt. As per the book definition, there is no doubt that you are a part of that industry, then definitely you will be part of the definition which says that you are a, what do you say, part of the competition. Having said that, if you are part of that competition, who are your immediate competitors? Five steps are there to identify that, and I want all of you to be very, very clear with those five steps. Come on, let's deal with what are those five steps. Check this out. First one, identify the competitor. Two, understand the competitors. Three, determine their strengths, determine the weakness. Tough task, but you have to do that. Then put all the information together. So pick up a white paper and do all this analysis. That's what they're trying to tell you. I want each point to be read in detail here. So please concentrate on that. What are who are the competitors? That's the first point. Identify the competitor means who are the competitors. Take a white paper and make a list. Identify the competitors in the firm's industry and have actual data about their respective market share. Who is doing what in the market? Have a respective market share. Then, what are their products and services? What are their products and services? Use market research to understand what they are doing. Use market research, internet, newspapers, social media, industry reports, and various other sources to understand the products and services which are offered by them, so that you can understand the complete story of who your competitor is, not just telling them that they are also there. Full story. Okay, first make a list. Who are competitors? What are their products and services? What is that they are doing so well? What do they do well? Why is a customer not coming to me and why is a customer going to them? Like that you have to understand. Because they have some strength only they'll go there. No. So you have to understand that. Why do customers give them the business? Why do customers give them the business? Not like not giving you the business, but there is something that they are doing better than you, which is why they are going there. So, why do customers give them the business? What is their financial position and what are their HR strengths? If they have a better HR than yours, or if they have a better strength than you in a particular area, then again you should think of how to handle that. And you should also know their weaknesses so that you can capture that area. What are they lacking or where are they lacking? Check consumer reports, those of the consumers who didn't like them. Now if you want to know bad about any product, you can go and read about that on Amazon, Flipkart and all. On the review section, people would have written that to reviews. No, when people are extremely happy, when they want to give 5 star for that product, they'll go and do that. When people are really fed up with that product, when they want to give 1 star or half star and scold, then they will do. If somebody is happy, value for money. Now I bought so many things online, hardly once or twice I would have gone and given a review. Ratings I'll give, because after we get the product, it's a very easy task. 5 stars will come. How did you like the product? Click something 4 or 5 over. But going there and writing a review, I don't have time for that. I basically don't want to do that unless I am really irritated about that product and I want the whole world to know that I am irritated. And generally, only those people will write reviews. Same way, ones who are extremely happy, they're like, no, we got something more than what we expected. We have to go and share this in the review. The ones who got value for money, they'll maybe click the number of stars, but they won't sit and have. You gave money, you got the product, job over. They look at it more like that. So read all that consumer report and reviews which are appearing in various media. Consumers are often willing to give their opinions, especially when the services are either very great or very poor. If they are great, definitely you'll go and comment. If they are poor, then also they'll go and comment. Now you identified who the competitor is, exactly found out what their products and services are, what do they do well, what they're lacking, everything is there. Collate. Collate means to bring it together. Put all the information together. What will business do with this information? What improvements does the firm need to make in comparison to your competitors? How will we use this information and what improvements we should make is the final conclusion that we have to derive. Draw inference about means in understanding. Inference is an understanding. Draw inference about what they are not offering so that you can fill that gap and enter the market. Draw inference about what they are not offering and what the firm can still do to fill in the gaps. But this all is possible only when you believe that gaps are there in the system, right? So it's a very elaborate process that you have to do. Though they gave you nicely in 5 points in your book, it's not as simple as you see it there. Okay, so each part of this activity will take enough effort and you have to do all of that, and only then think of having a strategy. Okay, so that's the very first part of our discussion, which is more like an intro to what we are going to do in the first part of this chapter. Analyze our competitors, that is to identify, understand their strength, their weakness, and putting all this information together. So are you clear as to what we are going to do in this chapter? Not only that, as they told you, the name of this chapter is called as strategic analysis, though they said dynamics of competitive strategy. Fundamentally, which phase are we dealing with? We're dealing with what is called as strategic analysis. Okay, so I'm going to read out strategic analysis, but before that, take a quick minute to run through all those 5 points that I discussed with you quickly. Come on, so that we don't have a problem in missing out anything. Okay, so moving on, what we have is a very important point called as strategic analysis. Now, when you see strategic analysis, it is not something that you can do overnight or suddenly realize one day that, sir, we have to do some analysis. Or when you want to make a strategy, it's not like you can go and ask somebody and make that strategy. Like you can go to your friend and say, Arey, I am doing this, please tell me one strategy. What is your opinion about this? What is your opinion about that? One thing that you need to be very clear is strategies don't come like that. Strategies should come out of a solid analysis, which is what is explained in that paragraph. And you might want to mark a couple of stars to this question because it has been asked in the exam so many times. What are the issues to consider in strategic analysis? A fairly simple topic, only 3 points, before which we will just understand the intro here. Strategy formulation, that is whenever you want to formulate a strategy, any manager who's formulating a strategy is not a task in which managers can get it with opinions, good instincts, and creative thinking. So normally if we have creative thinking or we have instinct, it is very useful. No? It is very useful to do things, not to formulate a strategy. Right? You can't tell after writing a strategy, I asked you, from where did you come to this conclusion that this will be your strategy? Sir, my 17th sense is saying, my 6th sense is saying, 16th sense is saying, people tell no all that. Strongly feel, your deep instincts will not work here. No, sir, I don't know all that, but my gut feel says this strategy will work. Maybe or may not, but that's not a justified thing. No, sir, I asked my neighbor, they told me this is a strategy, so we followed. Opinions, instincts, what is the other word? Creative thinking. No, sir, this is something that we want to try. We tried creatively. We don't need all that. Strategy suddenly is not something that you can borrow from anybody. So, opinions, creatively thinking about something, or you by yourself trying to do something with your own gut feel or instinct, by whatever name you call, it's not going to work. Very clear. It is not a task which managers can get with opinions, good instincts, and creative thinking. Okay, sir, ruled out all that. Then what should we do? Judgments about what strategy to pursue. That doesn't mean that there are many strategies. Yes, you will get so many alternatives. There is no one way of doing a particular thing. There are multiple ways. When there are multiple ways, you can do whatever you want. So, Judgments about what strategy to pursue need to flow directly from a solid analysis of what? Solid analysis of the company's external environment and internal situation. I think that's what we discussed in the small paragraph in stage 2 in that last class where we read all the 5 phases. So now I just want you to recollect that part. So let me take you to that particular part here wherein I just want you to remember this, that in terms of a strategic analysis, whatever they're saying, good instincts, thoughts, creative thinking, and all will not work. Strategic analysis will lead to a strategy which will come out of a solid analysis. So only when you do a solid analysis of something, you will come up with a strategy. And what is a solid analysis that you're talking about? Two things here. Solid analysis of external environment, solid analysis of the external environment, and our own internal situation. Internal situation. Now, this is more to discuss with the two words called as opportunities and threats. This is more to do with what? Opportunities and threats. While in internal situation, you have two more words called as strengths and weaknesses. Okay, for now, we can talk about this saying that a strategic analysis which leads to a solid analysis of both these, then only you will be able to take any kind of a decision. Otherwise, this total exercise is going to be only considered as a waste of time. So you have to understand what is there in your external environment, what is there in your internal environment, your own strengths and weaknesses. They are titled with different names, nothing to worry about that. So we will see all that in detail and get back to it. Now, the two most important situational considerations are, what are the two things that you have to compulsorily check? Industry and competitive condition. Industry and competitive conditions, that is outside you. What is surrounding you is the industry and the competitive condition, and a company's own, that is our own competitive capabilities, resources, internal strengths and weaknesses, and a market position. Where do you stand? Who you are? What capabilities do you have? What strengths you have? What weaknesses you have? Sir, only 2 points, no, very easy. That 2 points only is this full chapter. So it's not that easy to do a industry analysis. Not so easy to conduct your own SWOT analysis also. Not that easy. It takes time, takes effort. And one of the worst things about this whole story is what I discussed with you in the first chapter. One side you are doing all this analysis, suddenly environment is changing. Remember, environment is infinitely dynamic. That is one danger always sitting on our head. On one side, you are doing an analysis and progressing in a particular way. Environment is suddenly like, hi, I changed. Then will you get angry or not? Because you're putting all your effort to do something, and suddenly environment is like, yeah, that's all outdated, I am new. Then again you have to break free all that, and again you have to do a new strategy, again competitors. So it's not very easy. And always remember, today night I slept, tomorrow morning I got up. When I got up with a strategy. It's not going to happen like that. Or what will you do? Several nights you will wait for that one dream to come, wherein you can wake up with a strategy. So today night I didn't get the dream. Tomorrow I may be getting. When will you get a dream? And then even if you get a dream which says this is your strategy, is there any guarantee that it will work? So anyway, don't consider all that. That's all, nonsense. Strategy will evolve only from a solid analysis, that too over a period of time. Sir, can you tell us what is the right strategy? Not me. God also can't tell you what is the right strategy, because nobody knows what the situation is. Okay. Sometimes keeping quiet is a good strategy. Sometimes proceeding with caution is a good strategy. Sometimes retaliating back is a good strategy. So in what situation what should we do is all something that we need to understand. I told you how we behave with siblings, how we behave with mother, how we behave with father. Depending on the situation, Sometimes we keep quiet and listen to their scolding. Sometimes we give the chance. We'll keep quiet. Scold. They will only get fed up after some time. Half an hour I'm shouting, donkey has no reaction, get lost. Over. Job done. That no reaction was your reaction and everything went well. When should you do that? Sometimes if you do that, no, they'll take advantage of you and even put things on you which you didn't do. So that time what you should do? Immediately attack back saying that I never did this. But every time attacking back saying I never did will be wrong. So when should you do what? Everything here has to be taken at a very careful manner. How? We will see. Put two stars to that question that I just told you. The issues to consider in strategic analysis. Three issues are there which are very clear from their names only. First one, remember, strategy evolves over a period of time. Strategy what? Evolves over a period of time. It is not something that happens overnight. I want you to be very clear about that one. First and foremost thing, strategy evolves over a period of time. That is the first conclusion. Strategy does not happen overnight. Write the word overnight, or just simply saying that over a short period of time and strike it off. Strategy will never happen overnight. Then when will it happen? Strategy evolves over a period of time. You do something, you fail, then you learn, then again you do it, then again you fail. So every time you fail is a learning. And then slowly one day when you finally get, yeah, this is the result I was waiting, and that day, over a period of time with series of failures, you understood how to progress, and that will be your ultimate strategy over a period of time. That's your first conclusion. Strategy evolves over a period of time. It's a very simple conclusion, nothing to take really attention about. Then moving further, there are different forces, not one or two, but there are different forces that drive and constrain a strategy, and that must be balanced in any strategic decision. Between what should you strike a balance? Don't worry, second point is there, I'll tell you. An important aspect of strategic analysis is to consider possible implication of routine decision. It might be a routine decision only, but if you take that, what will happen is a very important question to ask. And what is the most important line here? Strategy of a business at a particular point of time is a result of series of small decisions taken over an extended period of time. Please underline that entire sentence, because that's what strategy making is all about. What is strategy making here? Series of small decisions taken over a period of time. So strategy is nothing but series of small decisions taken over an extended period of time. Sir, is it like 1 year, 2 years? I don't know all that. They said stated over an extended period of time. Maybe it took 5 years to crack the strategy. Who knows? Or they could be able to figure out the strategy in 6 months also. I am not judging or telling anything. I'm just saying it is there. Okay. Series of small decisions taken over an extended period of time. This is what strategy is all about. It will evolve. And before we do anything further, one more important aspect, that is point number 2, is that we have to strike a balance. I don't think it will be very difficult for you to guess on what you should strike a balance. What should you strike a balance? About two things. Balance between internal, that is our strengths and weaknesses, internal strength and weaknesses, and a balance between external opportunities and threats. Because if you don't know what these two are and you don't strike a balance and you end up doing something, then it will result in a terrible nonsense. Because you don't know what to do and you don't have an understanding of who you are. So this is going to, lead the problem to a big direction. I don't want that. Anyway, we will read it now. See there. Check out the last line. A manager who makes an effort to increase the growth momentum. If you want to increase the growth in an organization, the speed of growth in an organization, you have to substantially keep changing the strategy. I will make a strategy in 1990. In 2020 also it should work 30 years later. It is not going to happen. Remember that. Somebody who wants to progress, somebody who wants to see growth should underline their last line, materially changing the strategy. Materially means substantially. You have to keep changing the strategy. Not only that, you have to strike a balance. Sir, balance between what? Check this out. The process of strategy formulation is often described as the one where you are matching the internal potential, in bracket write down our own strength and weaknesses, with that of the environmental opportunities. So you have internal potential which is inside you. You have environmental opportunities that are coming from the external market. Try to match both. Try to match the internal strength and weaknesses with that of the external opportunities. Sir, can we perfectly match? You are not an astrologer or you are not God to do that exactly. So, in reality, a perfect match between the two may not be feasible. Anyway, not feasible, no sir, leave it. No. Try to do it. In reality, a perfect match between the two may not be feasible. Strategic analysis involve just strike a workable balance between diverse and conflicting considerations. See, market situation is always like an if then. If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what? So, if then criteria is always there in the market. In that, is it possible for you to strike a balance? See that. A manager working on strategic decision has to balance opportunities, influences, and constraints. Constraints, I told you, is like that feasible region that we spoke about, right? Within our boundaries. So last three words, if anybody asks you what should you balance, tell them you have to balance our strengths, the influences, the opportunities, and the constraints. You got to strike a balance between all this. Despite doing everything that you can do, market is still risky. So the third important factor that you consider while doing the strategic analysis is the risk involved in this business. Sir, how are you talking about the risk involved in this business? Now, did we discuss this word called varying degree? I think I've explained you what varying degree is. What is varying degree? Every force will affect a business not in the same way. One force will affect more, one force will affect less. So, different degrees is called varying degree. Like that only, risk is a factor. Little risk is there, okay, medium, moderate risk is there, high risk is there. I don't care. Risk is there. That is a factor. Okay. In strategic analysis, the principle of maintaining balance is important. That's what we try to do in the second point. However, the complexity and intermingling of variables. I hope all of you know the meaning of this word called complexity. That means it's a slightly difficult to understand. Intermingling means coming together of. I'll tell you one simple example. I'm throwing one stone at you. So natural instinct will be to avoid that, correct? So I threw one stone at you, you saw that coming, your hand came in way of that, and you at least either try to push the stone off or at least try to cover your face. I threw two stones at you. Now you are little sharp with your vision, so you saw where those two stones are coming, maybe one and two, you try to avoid. Now, unless you are a kung fu master or something like that, you can't stop the third one coming at you all at a time. First, I threw one, you pushed it away. Then I threw one more, you pushed it away. Then I threw the third one, you pushed it away. If I keep throwing, you will keep pushing away because only one force is coming at you. But if you look at the line that they're telling, intermingling of variables. What if three stones are thrown at you at once? Now, if you're a real master about pushing it, you will break all three. Four, five, somewhere at some point of time you will break up. No, one stone at least will hit you. Enough. That will create the damage. So here the stones are nothing but the pressures that our environment creates. So many pressures our environment is creating, and you trying to balance all of that. First of all, that's stupidity. Two, it's not possible also, even if you think. So on its own, each stone has its own force. When five, six stones come together, it's making it even more powerful. That is what is discussed in this paragraph. The complexity and intermingling of, underline the word intermingling of, which means coming together of. Those of you who want to write it down, what intermingling, please write down. Coming together of the variables in the environment. and reduces the strategic balance in the organization. One of the best lines in your book is this, and my personal favorite, this line: the lives that we lead is uncertain, and business is no exception. Over. They kill the whole story. Sir, for you and me only life guarantee is not there. What are you talking about business? Remember Peter Drucker's conclusion that I told you in the first class? Business is created and managed by people. For people only, there is nothing. No guarantee for your life. The lives that we lead are uncertain when you don't have guarantee for the business owner or any human being. What are you talking about business, sir? Business and all are created. Anytime they can fail. It's a very, very realistic line, this one. Life that we lead itself has no guarantee. Who are you and I to give guarantee for a business? Competitive markets, liberalization, globalization, boom. You know what is a boom? Boom is an uptrend in the market, booms. Recession is a downtrend in the market where growth rate falls down. Okay, so competitive markets, liberalization, globalization, boom, recession, technological advancements, that means where technology changes, inter-country relationship. Suddenly, couple of countries opened their gates to say, yes, we are welcome for trade for each other. Suddenly, one fine year, they said, we don't want to see your face, get lost. Now, when some things like that happen, either of them, whether they open their gates or close their gates, it will have an influence globally. Right? That's why we are now not buying oil from some countries that we used to buy in the past. We are buying from some other countries. So not only that, import export things will be affected, country relations. Now you saw in the wake of the, I mean, border tensions that India has, business with China has been cut down by a great deal. That's more a situational consideration. But because the import from China has come down, our domestic production has increased, and people now focusing on domestic products want to spend more on domestic products only. That's when the Make in India issue and initiative and all got a push. Now people are more focused on buying products are made in India, and not like, see, will this resolve everything? No. But there is a negative sentiment going on. On one side, that country is killing our soldiers. Why should we buy products from from that country? It's a sentiment going on. So to value these kind of things, whether it will be positive or negative, we are not picking up a discussion on that. All I'm saying is they'll play an influence. Inter-country relationships, all of these will affect the business and pose a risk at varying degree. Varying degree means different degrees. So the risk levels are not same. That's what we're trying to tell through that paragraph. An important aspect of strategic analysis is to identify these kind of potential imbalances or risk and assess their consequences. Write down there in bracket. Write down there in bracket. If then analysis. What is it called as? You can state it as if then analysis. So for the third point wherein we have risk, list down all the risk and you can say that we do what is an if then analysis, which is nothing but if this occurs then what, that sort of a understanding. Okay, so that is what we have in this very simple topic, which is called as issues to be considered. Three issues: one, strategy evolves over a period of time, strategy will not come out overnight. Two, there should be a balance struck between both internal and external aspects. And three, there is always an element of risk involved, and how to handle the risk is something that you have to clearly plan. So there are lots of things that bring in uncertainty: liberalization, globalization, inter-country relationships, all of them have to be considered, and accordingly then an if then analysis has to be carried out so that you will not have a problem in dealing with this. Understood? So those are the 3 points, and this is a very much potential question in the exam. So just take a minute to run through all the 3 points before I discuss with you another very, very interesting topic in this chapter, which is called as industry and competitive analysis. Now before I discuss that with you, quick run through. It's on your screen. So just go through all the 3 points there. Okay, now as we move on, we are going to see one of the most important analysis that's part of this chapter, which is the first branch. As you saw some time back, I drew three branches to the strategic analysis: industry and competitive analysis, portfolio analysis, SWOT and TOS analysis. So the first one we are starting right now is called the industry and competitive analysis. We are not alone here in this race. We have people who are also having the same objectives or same missions like we do. So we are fighting out with those people. And who are those called as competitors, rivals? You have different names for them, but right now let's stick to the word competitors. And what do you mean by this word industry? Now, industry is a very broad word. I mean, it's explained in the next page. So just let's understand what this topic is all about. Industry and competitive analysis can be done using a set of concepts and techniques to get a clear fix. Clear fix means a clear understanding on the key industry traits, which means key industry aspects. So why are you doing industry and competitive analysis? The industry and competitive analysis is being done to understand and get a clear idea on what? On the key industry practices, how serious the competition is, intensity of competition, the drivers of the industry means what are those factors that are pushing the industry right now. Sometimes one of the key factors that will push the industry is money. One time the key factor that will push the entire industry is technology. So like this, at different points of time, different aspects will push an industry. Right now, what is pushing you, or what are the drivers of industry? A long list of drivers are there. I will show you in the third point. The drivers of industrial change, market positions, what are the strategies of rival companies, keys to competitive success, and the industry's overall profit outlook. 7 points are there, 7 solid points. I don't have to draw them because it's given in the next page. I'll tell you. Understanding the economy. Okay, who is the strongest, who is the weakest rival, what are the triggers or drivers of change, understanding the intensity of competition, who is the strongest, who is the weakest. Then what are they going to do? Likely strategic move of rivals, not ours. Likely strategic move of rivals, knowing what they will do in advance based on their behavior. What are the key factors for success? If you have to stick long in this industry and be there for another 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what are the key factors for competitive success? If it's monopoly, everybody and anybody can survive. But in the competitive market, what are the key factors? Three key factors are there. Probably we are going to discuss in the next session only. And then the last, seventh point, industry's overall profit outlook. Means, is it profitable to venture or enter into this industry right now? Is it profitable to enter this industry right now? I'll explain you each point in greater detail because this is one very fantastic analysis. When we know that we are done with industry and competitor analysis, we will know about who is there in our surrounding, and not just know who is there in their surrounding. When I say who, that who includes not just their name. Sometime back you saw a list, no? Their name, their profile, what they do, why customers are getting attracted to them, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. A full profile study. But at this point of time, you should have gotten a doubt. Sir, if 300 competitors are there in the industry, you think what I have to analyze all those 300 people? By the time I finish analyzing them, I would be old and I will die. Who will do business? Very, very important point. You are not going to analyze every competitor in the industry because that's a really stupid idea to do that. So then what will we do? That's where we will bring in something called as a strategic group mapping. Again, I think that should also come part of tomorrow's session. So we will catch up those interesting aspects of key factors, strategy group mapping. Very, very interesting aspects coming in the later part of this chapter. Now, continuing from here, industry and competitive analysis aims at developing insight, means an idea in several issues, not just one area. Analyzing these issues, build an understanding of the firm's surrounding environment. Sir, we didn't still analyze about ourselves. Little later in this chapter. Third part of this chapter is SWOT analysis. That time we'll sit and analyze our own strength, our own weakness, not industry and competition. But let's first finish who is surrounding us. So, analyzing these issues, build an understanding of the firm's surrounding environment and collectively form the basis for matching its strategy to changing industry conditions and competitive realities. Check out what are given below. As I told you, 7 factors. What are the dominant economic features? If you simply say economic features of the industry or economic factors in an industry, that's a never ending list. Your full economics book you have to read again. Makes no sense. So that's why they're using the word dominant. Means what? Of those several economic features, which ones are more important? Dominant ones. Like I hope you know names like GDP. I mean, like you know aspects like GDP, the market size, how much scope is there for market growth. Such things you have to analyze. Broad economic aspects. Not digging deep into each economic aspect. That's not possible. What will you do? You will sit and read the entire economics book and try to apply each concept. First of all, it's not worth it also. Okay, chalo. For out of all the economic features, we are going to understand the dominant economic features. Nature and strength of competition. Back in time, you must have studied about direct competition, indirect competition, perfect competition, imperfect competition. So some sort of things like that as to the nature and strength of competition. What is the nature? Is it a direct competition or is it not direct? Then how strong is the competition? Is it like competition is cutthroat or is it like competition is okay? They are there, sir. That's all. So is it like that? What are the triggers of change? Trigger is an indicator. So sometimes you will get signals from the market or signals from the industry that it is a right point of time to exit the industry or it's chance that a new firm can enter the industry. If you don't react to such warning signals, let it come, sir. It will be a Titanic story, right? What happened with Titanic? That there were warning signals that there is going to be an iceberg, but some of the captain they ignored, saying that okay, they didn't estimate, they didn't do the thing properly, and you know what happened with that later. So when there is a trigger coming in, like again, the word trigger is very commonly used with guns. When you pull the trigger, they say no, that's when the bullet fires out. So the main purpose of that gun is to fire the bullet only, not to pull the trigger. But firing the bullet will happen only when you pull the trigger. That means you are, as a person, giving an indication or a message to the gun saying that right now I'm going to pull you, so you fire the bullet. So same way here, trigger is an indicator or something that tells you, look, this is a factor. Should you change or not is up to you. After something triggered a change in you also, it didn't really matter. Then I don't know how you will take it further. Understood? So triggers of change, we will see the list of triggers. Identifying the strongest and the weakest companies. Sir, if you identify strongest companies, it is enough. No. Why should you identify weak companies also? I'll tell you when we go to that point. Likely strategic move of rivals, not me, my rivals. Key factors of competitive success, three are there. And how attractive an industry is. I think you must have come across words in financial management like return on investment, return on equity, or back then in your goodwill calculations you would have used something called as NRR, normal rate of return. That is, every industry has a normal rate of return, that if you are in that industry you will earn that much as a minimum normal rate of return. So how much is a future prospect? Is it good to enter real estate now? Is it good to enter software now? Is it good to enter the manufacturing now? So we will see all these points in detail, of which we are going to start off with the very first one, which is called as dominant economic features in the industry. A long list of points are there called the dominant features. Nothing to worry because I guess you have seen all this in economics in the past, but we will try and have a relook at all of this again. But before I proceed further, I want all of you to know what is the definition of this word industry. Industry is a group of firms. Industry is what? A group of firms whose products have the same and similar attributes. Whose products have what? Same and similar attributes, such that they compete for the same buyers. Such that they compete for the same buyers. The factors to consider in profiling an industry's economic features are fairly standard. As to what are they standard, we will see. Market size, one of the biggest factors. How are you fighting it out? Are you in a big market or are you in a small market? Market size. Scope of competitive rivalry. Are you going to fight with people in the local, regional, national, international, or global? Who are you fighting it out with? Market growth rate. Is there a good chance for you to grow in this market? Now, if you enter into the technology market today, there is a great scope for you to grow. But at the same time, if you are entering into something like an automobile, I'm not saying that you don't have scope, but currently we don't know, when these lockdowns will be done with, or when the pandemic will completely end, and when everything will be back to normal like the pre-COVID, like the 2020 beginning, or the 2019s, you can say, when life will resume to that normal. We don't know, we are still a question mark about that. So is there a growth perspective? We don't know. But if you're talking about IT, if you're talking about data centers, and now that everybody is working from home, so a lot of need for data and data centers and all are there. So that part of the business has a great perspective. So every business is dying? No. Consumer products, IT, they're all increases there. Automobiles, okay, and then again industrial goods, other chemicals, again there is down. Pharma is again good, because again everybody is consuming medicines and all that. Pharma sector is still doing good. So these all things that depend on how you look at the situation. So that is what the third point is: market growth rate. And what is the position? Where are you now? Position in the business. Don't worry, I will discuss the positions in some concept called as product life cycle in detail in this chapter only, maybe in a couple of classes time. But right now what we are talking about is, in which stage are you in? Are you in a business which is in early development stage? Are you in a growth and takeoff stage? Are you at an early maturity? Now maturity stage means, okay, your business is getting saturated, that means you're reaching the peak. And then maturity, that is the final point. There you get saturated, and from there it starts falling. That is saturation, stagnation, and then decline. Where are you? Okay, let me explain you that with a quick point, but nothing to worry. As you see, you will have a separate discussion on that. But anyway, I would just want to be a little more clear on that one. So that is why I'm telling you, it's called the product life cycle. So in every product life cycle, it starts like this, goes up, and then it flattens out at a particular level, and then from there it starts declining. So there are four stages, if you see: 1, 2, 3, and 4. If this goes by, so what are they called as? This stage right in the beginning here is called as introduction, because that's when the new product is introduced. So are you in this stage? Because in which stage you are will also determine what your strategy should be. And this is a curve that is absolutely going up. This is called the growth stage. This one flattened out. This is early maturity. This is stagnation. So this at level over, that's all. So this is a stage which is called as maturity. And in maturity also, starting is called early maturity. This one is called early maturity. This one is full maturity total, and this stage is pretty much called as a decline phase. Sir, who will go through this? Every product will go through this. It's called a product life cycle. Okay, good that we are doing this now, so that couple of days later when we do the next class, we don't have to deal with it again. So every product goes through the stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. In which stage are you is also a key factor that will tell you where you actually are. That you have to find out. The next point is the number of rivals. How many people are there in the market and what are their sizes? Not just saying who are there, how many people are there and what are their sizes. Those rival companies, whoever are they small companies or dominant companies? It's a continuation point to the previous one. Small companies, dominant companies with a question mark doesn't mean what is it. So I'm just continuing to the next point. Number of rivals, that is how many people are there. Their relative size. When you talk about size, is it a small rival or is it a dominant rival? Number of buyers. So you know how many competitors are there, but at the same time you should also know how many buyers are there. If many buyers are characterized in that industry, story will be different. But if many buyers are not there, that means only few buyers are there. All of you fighting for those few buyers. You read now just here. Compete with the same set of buyers. And that will be a challenge. So how many buyers are there? What are the relative sizes? whether and to what extent the rivals have integrated backward or forward. This is the third time you're seeing forward and backward integration. Don't worry, we will discuss that in the fourth chapter in detail, but for now just understand forward or backward integration is about owning more parts of your business. Owning more parts of your business means right now if somebody else is supplying the raw material, if you yourself get into that raw material business also, that's called a backward integration. And let's say for now you are doing a business or manufacturing, and then you want to do distribution, and if you are owning the distribution also, it is called a forward integration. So owning more parts of your business chain is called as forward or backward integration. For now just remember that. So if I am fully integrated, I have great advantages, but if rivals are more integrated, so that is why now the question is, to what extent rivals are integrated forward and backward. How many types of distribution channels are there to access our customers? How can we reach out to our customers? How many channels are there? Right now in the industry, the pace of technological change, is it a rapid technological change that is happening, or is there a small technological change going on? Right now, if you see in the telecommunication sector, we are yet to see that rapid explosion of 5G. 4G over. 4G's rapid explosion is over. Now almost everybody is using 4G, but we are waiting for that great technological change to convert everything to 5G. Waiting. It will happen. I mean, it should have happened by mid of 2021, but I don't know with the effects of pandemic. I don't know when it will span in, but 2021 is a year where you can definitely see 5G. 5G is possible. So if 5G comes out again, there will be a rapid change in the way things operate. So how fast or slow technology is changing, and the pace at which new products are being found, innovation of new products, whether the products of and services of not as rival firms. Question is, we have rival firms, right? So whether their products and our products, are they highly differentiated, that means many differences are there between them and us. Weakly differentiated means hardly one or two differences are there. No sir, zero differences, essentially identical. Why should we know this? Then only we can advertise accordingly. Okay, we can tell our customers that we are different from them, and rather than simply orally telling we are different from them, we should tell how different we are. So that is why we have to find out, are we highly differentiated, weakly differentiated, or are we essentially identical. Whether the companies can realize economies of scale. Do you remember studying economies of scale? The benefits of operating in large scale production. Benefits of operating in the large scale production, that is only called as economies of scale. Those of you who don't know can please make sure that you write it down there. Economies of scale. Economies of scale is nothing but benefits of operating, benefits of operating at a large scale, or simply you can say benefits of operating with large scale production. Anything in the context of production, it's large scale production. Otherwise normally also economies of scale means doing it bigger. Now we do this for our regular things in the house also. When you buy one product, the vendor vegetables, let's say when you buy 1 kilo, he charges a particular rate. When you say I want to buy 3 kilos, he'll give you for a different rate. Why? Because when you buy it in more, the dynamics change. So that is what is called as economies of scale when you do it in large scale production. Okay, so please just remember that. Those of you who don't know can feel free to write it down there. Whether the companies can realize economies of scale in purchasing, in all areas basically, purchasing, manufacturing, transportation, marketing, advertising, in all these area, if you do it in a mass scale, will you be able to enjoy the advantages, is something that we have to see. Whether key industry participants, very important point as an economic point, whether all of them are located in one place or are they scattered. Sir, how will it make a difference? If all of them are in one place, competition will be called cutthroat competition, and two things can happen here. Either you will succeed very well or you will fail miserably. And if everything is scattered, then you can figure out who your market is. Like for example, if I am the only one in that area, people have no other choice but to buy from me, but my market is limited, only those area people will buy. Let's say I'm a flower vendor, I sell flowers in a particular area. Who will buy flowers in that area? Whoever are living who want flowers will buy from me. But think, if I am a flower vendor in a flower market, 200 people like me are there, all are clustered in one place, but the whole city can come to that marketplace to buy. So I have a wider option. Here I have a limited option. What is more profitable? I am not calling single shop is more profitable or a shop in the market is more profitable. I am not even talking about that. I'm just saying two options are there. Consider how your rivals are all your rivals clustered in a particular location, or are they scattered? Like all IT companies in Hyderabad and Bangalore, the lock industry in Aligarh, Surat has diamonds, all diamond merchants in Surat. Okay, so like that, clustered in one place. Are we clustered like that, or are we spread across? And in this industry, in whichever you are, not only in one industry, in almost every industry, many of them, initially when you try to do something, it may not come out with great results. That's what happens. So how will you become better? There is a concept called learning by doing. When you repeatedly do the same thing again and again, okay, if I have to tell you in your costing terms, that is only called as efficiency. I think you must have heard about labor efficiency. When a laborer is working, first day he might have taken, let's say 10 hours to do a particular job. Then next day it improved, next day it improved, next day it improved. In a month's time, that laborer is able to do it at 8 hours. So, what does it mean? First day was dumb to spend 10 hours? No, first day his capability was to finish it off in 10 hours. But with the time, learning by doing. Now, when he is finishing the same job in 8 hours, will he get paid for 8 hours or not? So that way the cost of labor will come down. Or you can do one more thing, you can still make him work for 10 hours, but in that 10 hours he'll do extra 2 hours of work. So either way, either production will increase or cost will come down. Bottom line, per unit cost of production will come down. Now, is that possible in your industry? That also you can check. Whether certain industry activities are characterized by strong learning aspects, so that the cumulative per unit cost will decline. Cumulative per unit cost will decline. Those are the points down there. Then couple of more points be there. Yeah. Whether high rates of capacity utilization. High rate of capacity utilization means, like right now you're working at 60% capacity. If I increase my capacity to 70% or 80%, will I be able to produce more? Obviously, yes. But will my cost also remain the same? Like that, we have to compare and to see whether will it be crucial to achieving low cost production efficiency. If you have done this in costing, you will understand we prepare budgets, flexible budgets at 60%, 70% or 80%. If you have not done it yet, you will very soon, like you can figure out doing that. But the point is, when you are doing something like that, which is very crucial, so per unit cost will decline. How fixed costs remain fixed? That's a normal point, right? When fixed costs remain fixed and the number of units that we produce are increasing, automatically to share this fixed cost, many units are now available, and therefore the per unit cost will automatically decline. Then one very very important factor that you have to consider while doing any business is capital requirements. That is, how much is required for you to start off this business, the ease of entry and exit. Simply, if money is there, it's not enough. Is it easy to enter that market and easy to exit? Entry barriers are there. Little later we will discuss in the 5th chapter what are the entry barriers for somebody willing to start a new business. And last point, whether industry profitability is above or below par. Now you guys know that shares are issued at par. At par means normal. Then premium, discount, like that concepts are there. No, discount not allowed anyway, but at premium. So like that, industry profitability is at par means, is the NRR in the industry okay? Can we enter this industry right now? So that is your first length of analysis about your competitors. You can't blindly just jump into a market. Whether industry profitability is at par means will we be able to earn normally if we enter this industry. That's your very first point, which is called as understanding the dominant economic features of a industry. Second point is very simple, as you see there, a small point only. Nature and strength of competition. I think I orally explained you some time back. One of the important industry and competitive analysis involves delving into, means going deep into the industry's competitive process to discover the main sources from where competition is coming, from where you feel the pressure, where competitive pressures and how strong each one are. Two questions. From where all these competitive pressures are coming, to how strong each one is. Sometime back I told you the throwing of stones. One stone is coming, or two stone is coming, or three stone is coming. If it's coming also, are they coming at different times? Are they coming at the same time? Are they coming at different times with different forces? Like that, there is a lot to analyze. So main source of competitive pressure and how strong each force is. Even though, like in real estate, in IT, in manufacturing, in any other industry, competitive pressure will not be same everywhere, because IT industry's competitive pressure will be quite different from something else. But Michael Porter said that there are five forces which are common to all industries. There may be hell a lot of forces which differentiate from industry to industry. But there are five forces which are very much in common, which again we will discuss in the fifth chapter. But for now, understand, even though competitive pressures in various industries are never precisely the same, that means they're not exact, the competitive process works similarly enough to use a common framework in gauging the two things, nature and intensity of competitive forces. Sir, how? How will you get that common framework for all industries? Michael Porter's five forces model is very useful in understanding the competition. It's a powerful tool for systematically diagnosing the principal competitive pressures in a market and how strong or weak each one of this is. So, in other words, the second point is not elaborated much in detail because they just told you to identify the nature and strength of competition. Porter's five forces model is a great tool. We will dedicate one class towards Porter's five forces model when we reach the fifth chapter. So for now, just understand, to analyze what is the nature of competition, to analyze how strong the competition is, we will use a technique called as Porter's five forces model. So let's break it there. As part of industry and competitive analysis, you have seven factors, and we have discussed a couple of them in today's session, which are what are the dominant economic features of the industry and how to understand the nature and strength of competition. We will then discuss one of the most important questions, because that alone can come in the exam. Which one? Triggers of change. So from there to the balance 5 points we will discuss in our next session clearly.